What's going on, gamers? Today we're going to jump into a bit more Diablo 4 and I'm going to be going over everything we know so far. What's the game going to contain when it's released? All the latest news on Endgame and pretty much everything you need to know. So if that interests you, stay tuned. That's coming up next. Welcome back everyone. There's been quite a few announcements lately and we've got a lot more info on the game in general, so what exactly can we expect from Diablo 4 when it's released in just under 2 months time? And another thing that a lot of people are after is what can we expect from their endgame. Now for anyone that doesn't know, Diablo 4 is just over 50 painstakingly long days away, so today I thought I'd cover everything that I know about the game and what you can expect from it upon launch. The first thing I'm going to be covering is going to be the world tiers. The world tiers in Diablo 4 very much serve as in other games. It's pretty much going to be your difficulty level. You're going to progress through the main campaign and you can start off at tier 1, which is adventurer, or jump straight into tier 2, which is veteran. It'll be a little bit tougher, but the experience definitely makes up for that. So if you're used to Diablo games, you may want to jump straight into that tier 2. Tier 3 and 4, however, so the Nightmare and the Torment difficulty are going to be locked behind a wall. They've stated in the latest interview that you won't be able to do Nightmare until you've completed the game, but on the demo I believe it said that you could unlock it at level 50, so I'm not sure if they misspoke or if things have changed. But either or, you'll be able to unlock it at 50 or once you've completed the main campaign. However, it's not quite that simple. In order to unlock it, you're going to need to complete a capstone dungeon. Think of this as a tougher dungeon that you'll need to complete in order to prove you're worth being able to level up to that next level. So you're going to need to do this in order to hit that Nightmare and finally hit that final Torment difficulty. Jumping over to your levels and your paragon levels, and these are now, hopefully I've got this right, from level 1 to 50 you're going to level up as standard, but from 50 to 100 is going to net you those all needed paragon points, and you're going to be able to earn 4 per level, so 200 in total. However, as far as I'm aware, I think you can actually get additional ones from things such as rewards from your renown. So you're more than likely going to be able to get over 200 if you're completing all of the extra content in the game. Now if we take a look at what's in the background, that's going to be your paragon board, and there's a whole bunch of tiles for you to unlock in order to make your character truly powerful. A lot of these will be standard effects such as +5 to your intellect, strength, all of your main stats and such, but as you start to progress you'll be able to unlock a lot more nodes, some of which can make your character very powerful. Now the nodes you're going to be unlocking with your paragon points are going to be the white standard ones, which give you bonus to your standard stats, blue, which I believe is magic, which is going to be slightly larger boosts with a more diverse range such as healing over time, damage reduction and many more. Your yellow are going to be your rare. These give you even better stats and often multi-stat ones such as percentage damage as well as a main stat like +10 strength. Your orange is going to be your legendary, so these will probably be the juiciest out of all of them, and they're going to be very powerful enhancements that add to your character's build, such as extra fortify for your barbarian class when he spends a certain amount of fury. Red is going to be your glyphs. This is going to be where you socket certain glyphs, and depending on how powerful they are, they can make the surrounding nodes even stronger. Lastly, at the very edges is going to be your end tiles, known as gates. When you hit these, I believe you get 5 to each of your main stats, and it also allows you to go onto your next paragon board. Upon starting your next paragon board, you can rotate these so that you can start at different edges in order to plan out a route and hopefully pick up the best stats for your character. Jumping over to something that anyone who's played the demo knows a little bit about, and that's going to be your aspects and of course your dungeons. In the main game they've stated that there's over 120 dungeons for you to explore, and upon completing these very often you'll be rewarded with an aspect. These in general are tied to one of your character classes, so you may want to hunt down ones that you think are going to help you out, especially during your campaign. Now in their last video they stated that there's a chance of these dropping, whereas in the demo it was a guaranteed drop. So I have to see exactly how that works out upon the game's full release, but it looks like it may be down to a little bit more luck now. However, these are definitely worth doing because they'll be held in your Codex of Power and you'll be able to put them on equipment further down the line in order to make a strong build very easy. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I remember these are a camp band, so you can chuck them over to your other characters. So once you've unlocked a lot, you'll be able to chuck them straight over to your other characters, so it'll work out in your best interest if you're starting up new classes. Jumping straight over to Hell Tides, and Hell Tides look absolutely amazing. These to me seem like a much upgraded version of your events. You'll be able to unlock these from Nightmare tier onwards, so World tier 3, and they're going to be random events that spawn over the world that contain much tougher monsters and allow you to pick up some awesome loot. As you're defeating these tougher enemies, they're going to drop shards on the floor. You're going to want to pick up as much as possible, as then you'll be able to open caches within those areas and hopefully find yourself something nice and shiny, again in order to make your character even stronger. Next up, and we have Nightmare Dungeons. Pretty much like its namesake says, these are going to be your upgraded types of dungeons, and they definitely look like they're going to be testing your mettle. In order to unlock these, you're going to have to find a sigil, and as far as I'm aware, I think each dungeon has its own appropriate sigil. This to me makes perfect sense, as then you're not going to be farming the same ones over and over again. Nightmare dungeons are a lot tougher than standard dungeons. They contain different affixes, can have enemies spawn in that are not usually within that region, and overall just pretty much everything within that dungeon is there to give you a really tough time. However, the loot and rewards inside are much better than in standard dungeons, so if you can manage to tackle these, it's definitely worth doing. Jumping over to the Tree of Whispers, and another endgame activity is going to be going to your Tree of Whispers and having it send you out on type of bounties. It will give you a certain criteria that you're going to have to go and meet, and once you've beaten its set conditions, you're then going to return to it, hand in the quest, and then you'll be able to choose yourself a reward, hopefully from a selection of something that's going to interest you. This to me is one of the most straightforward endgame activities, but can definitely help you if you're missing a certain piece of gear. Next, and we're going to be jumping over to the Fields of Hatred. This is going to be your PvP content. There's going to be certain areas throughout the world in which you'll need to tackle enemies, but also can be encountered by other players. When you're within these areas, you're going to be earning yourself shards, but things are definitely not easy, as these shards still need to be purified before you can take them back to the town. Now obviously actions speak a lot louder than words, so I'm going to do a reenactment of how this all plays out in game. Now you'll probably want to stick around to the end because I have got a bit more info, but here's a quick recap of what we know so far is going to be in the game's full release. So it's a very open world game, so you're going to play it as you see fit. Leveling up and playing through the campaign is going to mean you can increase your world difficulty, which in turn will mean you can unlock more and earn better rewards. Dungeons can reward aspects, perfect to make a strong build, or for using on your other classes if you want to level others up, but as far as I'm aware, when you use an aspect, it does give you the lowest percentage of the modifiers for that aspect, so a drop legendary with it would always work out better. Helltides are pretty much crazy versions of your normal events. The earth's going to crack, the sky's going to change colours, there's going to be meteors, there's going to be some crazy tough enemies, and in general these just look like they're a great amount of fun, although they do have a high amount of difficulty alongside it. Then you've got Nightmare Dungeons. These are going to be your much tougher version of dungeons with lots of modifiers included, but you can't just jump into them whenever you want. You're going to need to first find a sigil in order to activate them. Your Tree of Whispers is going to be very similar to bounties in other games, and lastly your Fields of Hatred are going to be your kind of designated PvP zones. Now a few things to note. At launch, what we've learnt so far is that there's not currently going to be any loadouts, unfortunately. It may well be something they'll look into further down the line. I hope it is, as I love loadouts, but at the start it's not going to be a thing. The first season is going to be approximately, I think it's 2 months after the game's released. Let me know in the comments if I'm off with that, but as far as I know it's around about 60 days. And finally the PvP, whilst it is something you might want to take part in, isn't something that you have to. However, it might have certain things that can only be unlocked by participating in it. For example, some cosmetic items. Another thing that I'm really looking forward to, as they've hinted that there's even more that they haven't revealed yet, so fingers crossed there is more to come. And there's going to be a developers update livestream on April the 20th that's also featuring Riker, someone who's been hands-on with Diablo for a very long time. So cross, this all bodes well, and there'll be some awesome news soon. Now the thing is, I've seen quite a lot of negativity on this so far. Honestly, I am in the other boat. I am completely hyped for this game. I would be playing a demo now if they chucked it back out again. I think for a starting point this is absolutely great, and even though some people aren't happy with things like the paragon boards, you have to understand they're probably trying to encompass everyone. They want as big a player base as possible. If they're making it overly complicated like Path of Exile, then it may well turn a few people off and make their player base less than they're hoping for. If Elden Ring has shown us anything, it's that trying to be inclusive whilst pretty much sticking to the core foundation of your gameplay in general tends to work very well. So hopefully this game, even though it's not going to be perfect for everyone, does start off in a good position and from here only gets better over time. If my memory serves me right, Diablo 3 had an absolutely awful launch and people were saying it was done and dusted straight away, so don't write this one off yet, because I think it's definitely going to be a great game to play and will probably be able to last people many seasons. But as always, let me know in the comments, what do you all think? What class are you most looking forward to playing? And as always, for all things gaming, take care. I'll see you on next day.